In this lecture, I'm just going to talk about two terms, performance and performativity. And if a little bit of anxiety comes up in you trying to distinguish these concepts, just think about the sound of a gentle falling rain, all right? A gentle falling rain. So what I'm going to do here is discuss with you performance and performativity, and then in our live class on Wednesday, I will hopefully have the chance then to review an example with you to talk about performance and performativity just a little bit more. So with the first of these, performance. So performance has to do with the many little choices that we make in how we perform our identity. And when I say perform our identity, that's our identities of, and these overlap, right? These overlap, but it's our identities of gender, of class, perhaps religion, perhaps of region, right? The choices that we make. And so when I say perform, people think often of performing as being artifice, right? As being fake. You're just putting a show on for people. But you are performing identity in all the many choices you make, really about how you're going to be around other people. So picture this. And for some of us who are practically quarantined most of the time, of course I always have people around me, my children and all, but if you were alone for a while. Now some of you may wish right now for some time alone, or some of you are like, oh, I have more time alone than I want. But all that is aside. Imagine or think about when you are alone. And you're going to be alone for a few hours, for the evening, for the day. You're in your home, and you're going to be alone. What do you do? Like, really, like, what, I mean, I guess not, what do you do? Like, do you play cards, or do you, like, play, I guess, solitaire? Are you watching television? Are you on Facebook on your phone or something? What I mean is, what do you wear? Because I know some people, if I say you're going to spend the afternoon alone, what are you going to do? I know some people who would say, well, first off, I'm not going to wear pants. Really, they'll like walk around without pants on. Or I'm not going to wear clothes. Some people just more comfortable not having clothes on. But they wouldn't do that if somebody were going to be around, right? Or other people would, some women I know will say, oh, listen, if I was going to be staying at home alone by myself, the makeup's off, the hair is up in the bun, and the bra is gone. Right? Now, for some women also, having the bra off is actually uncomfortable, but anyway, but for some women, right, I've heard that before, right? And so it's like, well, why is it that you don't always just have your hair up in a bun, or, I mean, if that's comfortable for you, right, and your makeup off and no bra, or why is it you aren't just wearing, this is not about people who, identify as male or female even, but why aren't you just always wearing sweatpants and that stained t-shirt, or what, why is it that it's only when other people aren't around that you would wipe your mouth with the t-shirt you're wearing, or pick up a piece of food with your fingers, or I don't know. I mean, I don't know. By the way, I'm not disclosing to you the things that I do when other people aren't around, because I mean, yeah, I don't dress that way when other people aren't around. At the very least, I don't really, unless I'm working in the yard. But anyway, it's a whole other thing. So why is it that you wouldn't do those things if other people were around? Why is it if other people aren't around, you perhaps allow belts to be loud, or your flatulence just to fly? Why don't you do it when other people are around? You say, well, it's not nice, or it's not polite, or it's not what they expect. Aha! So then, you make behavioral choices based on how you want to present yourself to other people. And it may be you're doing it because it'll be seen as rude, right? To do otherwise be seen as rude. Okay, well, that's still a performance then, right? It's a performance about that is related to issues of class, propriety, or I guess propriety would be part of class, issues of gender and so forth, right? About how you should sit or not. Yeah, so those are all the many little choices you make. And little choices about hair, and of course, as I say, I have my Corona Dew going. I think I mentioned that before. But and maybe you keep your hair a certain length because you don't like when it touches your neck or whatever. That's fine. I'm not trying to negate that. but your compulsion to what you do with your hair, that you feel it should be short, or you feel more comfortable keeping it longer, whether you curl it or not, straighten it or not, dye it or not, all those, extensions, I don't know. I mean, it's what you're doing for yourself, that's fine. But how much of what we do has to do with we want to show of ourselves to other people, right? How you dress, right? And everything from dressing up to dressing down versus wearing clothes that we associate with men versus associate with women, right? So all of those many little choices, those are all acts of performance. There are big events that are also acts of performance, as some things that are ritualized. So in in a shorter time for some of you than others, you should be, as we say, walking across the stage, or the stage might be just your front walk. I don't know, but walk across something when you graduate already, right? But think about the tradition of the graduation. The faculty put on our robes, actually our regalia. All that stuff you wear at graduation is called a regalia, and faculty put theirs on. And it's a little bit nicer, and it has like anybody with a doctorate, for instance, has 3 bars on the arm, and usually some velvet down the front there. But those 3 bars, and then we wear a long hood, right? And that is a display. Sort of peacocking a little bit. It's a display of our education, and so we all do that as you graduate and you sort of come among our ranks, right? So this is, right, that's a certain, and we're going to sit here, and your name will be called, and you'll walk across the stage, and, right, those are big events, and those are also performances. Those are also performances. So we have these little choices, right? Little choices about what's appropriate for me to wear in shoes. Right, so as a man, if I wore a shoe with very much of a heel, I would get people looking at me. Now I can decide how I feel about that or not, right? But I'd have people looking at me, um, as opposed to the shoes that I wear that are, quite frankly, more comfortable and better for my feet, right? But they're sort of quote unquote men's shoes. That's a performance about how I'm going to perform my gender, right? Uh, and there's also performances are, let's say, these big things like ceremonies, and we'll talk about one particular ceremony, of course, on Wednesday. So those are all performance. Things that we do out of tradition or what we think is best or right. And from performance, we get to performativity. Performativity can be the harder of the two concepts to wrap one's head around. That's okay. Performativity is what drives the performance. I put a question mark there because it is a question. What drives the performance? But also performativity is what drives the performance, right? The thing that drives the performance. And so what I mean by is the thing that drives the performance. As I said, so when people are around, you don't wipe your mouth on your dirty shirt, which really, I guess, doesn't really harm anything if you do that necessarily. But you don't do that. You don't just sort of let your flatulence go freely. Uh, you, right, you Right, you know what I mean? You try to control your belches. You maybe comport yourself in a different way. You may dress, or maybe just dress at all, right? Differently if other people are around. So why do you do that? Well, because there are certain expectations about what is appropriate performance given culture and class, and you just take for granted that belching out loud is as seen as rude. But that is cultural, and my favorite expression that it really ties back into culture is that a fish is the last one to discover water. A fish is the last one to discover water. When we are immersed in something, it's really hard for us to recognize this thing that's just sort of everywhere and all the time. Like the air that we breathe, we don't think about it. We might feel it like it, we don't really think about it. We're just immersed in it. But yeah, a fish is the last one to discover water. And so we have all these performances of ourselves that are driven by expectations of what is masculine, what is feminine, what's appropriate for our racial and ethnic identity, what's appropriate for, again, I talk a lot about class, maybe for age, right? For even for region, right? Certain patterns about why you do things is expected of you based on the region you live in. It could be religion, right? So again, performativity, that's the things that drive those performances. Or I say, ask the question, what drives the performances, right? Why is it these, because these things, these performances, all those little choices, right? All those little choices are usually all sort of in orbit or in constellation or in service of that notion, that performativity. So there's all these little performances, and together they are what support, and they're based off of this performativity, right? Which is it's the idea of, you see the word repetition is used. It's not just that you do something repeatedly, but why is it you repeatedly do it? Why is it you feel the need to always be doing that, right? So I mean, don't get too lost in the word repetitive when you see that, right? But it has to do with what is the well, here, right? The ideas, the values, the beliefs that are behind the performances, right? So the ideas, the values, and the beliefs that are behind the performance. And so, right, and so that's what I'm talking about. The fact that and I do, I mean, I've come to like, or I say come to like, I mean, I like wearing polos. I like them. It feels comfortable to me, right? It's very comfy to me. So it is a certain sort of habit. But that performance that I just do all the time is part of this, performativity of a gendered, classed performance, right? There's this class notion of masculinity that you would wear this. And so it's probably part of why I don't wear much in the way of t-shirts. I wear t-shirts on occasion, but not usually anything with a lot of writing or branding on it. Not too often. I sort of have recently been trying to be more fun and kickish, right? For kicky, right? Yeah, so what are the ideas, the values, and beliefs that are behind those performances? All those little choices, as well as those big performances, like I said, like a graduation, right? The ideas, values, and beliefs behind those performances about the fact that you now are one of us, and we all don these formal things that sets us apart from others and makes us special, and you wear it now because you're also in the club as an educated person, right? So it's the ideas, the values, and beliefs behind those performances, and the ideas, values, and beliefs that manifest through those performances, right? They manifest. What I mean is the ideas, values, and beliefs that are so manifest, they are made real, right? They're made real through those performances, right? So what is masculinity? What is femininity? Well, it's a series of things people do, we expect them to do, that represents, right, that makes real those ideas, values, and beliefs. So women who, and not all women do, right, but women who, and not chiding people for doing this, who wear makeup, who wear heels, which helps to extend the leg, which is seen as culturally desirable. Again, the makeup to add color to the face, accentuate features, more likely to pierce ears and have, think about that. Holes in the, and men do as well, right? But a hole in the body from which to hang ornamentation. I, as somebody who I don't have a piercing anywhere, I always think, my goodness, like a Christmas tree. I mean, wear earrings if you want, but just think about that moment, like, gosh, what is that? We put a hole in our body to hang an ornament off of. What is that, right? Just think about that, right? But doing that, clothing that is more revealing, both in terms of skin displayed and revealing of the body by pulling in entire to the body, right? So all of those customs, right, of feminine appearance and feminine aesthetics, again, not chiding anybody for it, right? That makes real certain values about women, that women should be looked at, right? And go back, by the way, to the book, then it's discussion of things like body surveillance and so forth, right? But again, that women, yeah, that women should be looked at, that women are there as objects of admiration, right? And that's part of their role and function socially, right? That value is made real through all those many choices of fashion and so forth, right? We're you know by the way, by contrast with men who are known for wearing shoes that we see as being more comfortable, generally uh, pants with real working pockets in them, because one, you can carry more stuff, but also no one's worried about the line of your clothing. Uh, you think about the images you have of men and women on television, of the husband and wife, how often the husband has a larger, less desirable body than the woman, conveys certain ideas, right? It sort of manifests the idea that men's appearance, even though not, even though recognizes men as not having ideal bodies by a larger body form, that women having a more idealized body form in those shows, playing the mothers, these thin bodies, that we have a certain cultural expectation then about the importance of women maintaining a form desirable and pleasing to others, and for men it just doesn't matter as much. Right. So performance are all those choices, and performativity are the ideas, values, and beliefs that are made real through it, and that are behind it, and that really drives those performances. I hope that's clear. If not, bring your questions to class.